Okay, so I will be making the walk cycle for the gorilla, and I am using this rig from CG Trong, and so yeah, we will be using this reference which I have. I received this reference from one of my 3D animation student, and I'm making this tutorials to help her with this cycle. So yeah, so the first thing we will, before making cycle, we have to know that we have to try to observe this walk cycle a little bit for a few things. The first thing we have to understand is how many frames of the cycle is. So like how many frames this gorilla is taking to make the same cycle, to same motion like in cycle. So I came to realization that it could be 40 frames. The thing is that my reference is only 36 frames. After that, there's another video which the which is stitched for animation purpose. So like when I play this, I feel like so right now the frame zero is like where the gorilla is moving his hand and his back foot forward to move forward like this. So so I yeah, this could be a good pose to get started with. But like our this video is only till frame 36, so I can imagine like this gorilla will take 4 more frames to make the same pose. So I'm just gonna imagine like this cycle will be 40 frames long. So yeah, now so that's why I set my frame range to 40. I don't need anything more than 40. So now yeah, let's get started with this rig. So in this rig, I'm using this IK spine. There's nothing special. The only modification I made is I scaled the legs of this gorilla to 0.9, because I can see like the legs of the gorilla in the reference, his legs are quite short. But if I put the normal one value to the legs, then you will see that legs are a little bit long, because this gorilla is made from that movie King Kong, sorry, Kong Skull Island. In that one, the gorilla was more like a man. So here the gorilla should be more like the real gorilla. So that's why I scaled down the legs to 0.9. So both of the thighs and the legs are 0.9. So everything else I'm just leaving to the normal. So yeah, we can get started by making the pose on frame 0. So yeah, for that, the first thing I will do is I will rotate the main body of the main this root controller. I will rotate it to 90 degree. The reason I'm rotating 90 degree, because I now when I select the chest controller, the up and down will be properly. So as you can see, when I'm moving the main controller up or down, only one value is getting affected. So if it was anywhere less than 90, like suppose somewhere here, so now if I move this controller up or down, like you can see, like I'm affecting two values, the rotation, translate y and translate z, so which I'm not happy with. So I'm just keeping this like properly 90 degrees, so that it's properly angled to 90 degree. So yeah, now I will move this main controller a little bit down, so that I can get this 0 pose. uh, I will make this pose quickly, and let's try to make it pose. So yeah, the first thing is I rotated this main controller 90 and I moved it down. So before I go further, my process for making this cycle will be the same process which I teach in Seneca College class. I'll be making the first and last pose, which will be the same. This will be a treadmill cycle, which means the gorilla will be just moving at this place. The gorilla won't be moving forward. So I will be making the first pose, and then I will make again the same pose somewhere here in the middle, which is I think frame 20, 21, somewhere here. So I will make this the same pose around frame 20, let's say. And like we can say this kind of same pose, but in opposite direction. But it's not really a same pose. Like we'll go through it. So I will make this pose first, and then we'll see how it goes after that. So let's just make this pose properly. So yeah, now okay, I'm gonna move the chest a little bit up, because here we can see that this gorilla's chest is up here. So that's what the same thing I'm doing here. I'm moving the chest up, and I'm rotating the chest a little bit, somehow like this, so that we have a nice chest pose. And then I will also rotate the neck controller, so that we have a similar pose to this. we can't really get the same pose because this gorilla's anatomy of neck is different than our gorilla. So we can't really get, but I'll try to move the neck up a little bit so that we have a similar kind of pose, maybe something like this. So this is the head controller which I made. So I moved the neck controller, I rotate the neck controller like this, and I moved it up, and then I just gave it slight angle down in the head controller. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do with the neck. If I need to make any more modification, I'll do it later. Yeah, and regarding the back body, I feel like the shape is completely getting weird in the back body. So I will try some things here with the back body controller. So like we have two controllers here for the hip. The first one is the spine controller. So I can, if I want, I can even try to modify this hip. It's not really hip, it's a spine. The hip controller is this one, which is only affecting the hips of the body, but this one is kind of affecting the overall spine. So I'm also going to rotate this spine controller a little bit so that we have a decent enough like similar angle. So I think I'm just going to rotate like maybe 25 minus 25 something, somewhere here. So it's minus 24 point something something. So I'm just going to say minus 25. And then I will also rotate this hip controller so that I have a nice shape on the hip. Nice shape means it need to look this the butts need to look like butts. So right now they look like kind of flat. So I'm just going to rotate them a little bit so that I think now this shape seems like a better shape. So now I'm just going to move the foot back, and I'll try to make a similar pose like this. I will select this front controller. So before I go further with this rolls and all, so I just want to let you guys know, let you know that this in this main controller we have this roll, but this roll is not really working properly, but because the first the foot is rolling on the ball and then the foot is rolling from the tip. It's like we can't really control that, how much roll do we want in the ball and how much roll do we want in the tip. We can't really control that. So what we are going to do instead, we will be using these controllers which we have. So this tip controller is for this roll, and then we have another controller for the ball roll as well, this one. So we'll try to use both of them together, not together, like we'll see how much we have to use each controller. So we will not use this roll controller. Instead of that, we'll use these individual controllers. We also have this rock. Rock is a pretty good option, like I will use this rock if I need to. And we also have this swell. So this is for angling this knee. So yeah, I think this is also pretty good. Instead of selecting this controller and moving it, I think this is a pretty good option to rotate the knee. So yes, I will use this one as well. So yeah, I think this is a pretty good place to start. I'm gonna start by rotating this tip controller. This is called uh, roll toes and L. So yeah, I'm just gonna rotate it similar to this one. I'm also gonna rotate this ball roll a little bit, something like this, and I'm gonna move this foot a little bit more back, somewhere here. And now I'm gonna select this hip controller, and we have two options. So like when this gorilla will be walking, so this hips will be kind of bending like this because the hip will be moving around like this. The hip will be rolling sideways. The hip will be also bending in this direction. So we have to decide, do we want to use this hip controller or we want to use this hip controller. you know so in my case, like here I feel like this hip controller won't really make much difference because it's only controlling the butts. Like if you need to give some shake to the butt or something, like or some shake to the this part of the body, then we can use this one. But for this animation, for this back body animation, I will not be using this controller, the hips controller. Pelvis controller, here it's written like FK pelvis M. So I won't be using this one. I will be using this IK spine 1M. That's the controller I will be using. So yes, just I wanted to mention that because I'm gonna make some changes to this controller before I make any further changes to the foot. So right now we can see, like the weight of this gorilla is, because this gorilla is kind of I think the weight, there is a good amount of weight on this side of the body because this gorilla is using this foot to move the body forward. So I feel like, this the left side of the body, like the body, the side of the body which we can see is a little bit up. It is somehow like this. The reason for that is, the gorilla is trying to push himself. So I'm going to do the same. I will move this controller. I will rotate this controller a little bit like this. And also, like, because this foot is like in the back, so I'm going to rotate this body a little bit in this direction, just so that we can get a general, feel that, the body is helping this leg to go back, and the body is helping this leg to go forward. So just to get this proper shape, I did these few things. So the first thing I did, I rotated this spine a little bit like this, and then I rotated this spine, this back spine controller a little bit like this. So I think that these two things should be enough. And now maybe I can select this foot controller again, and I can also rotate the foot a little bit, so that you can see like there's a nice angle on the foot. So I'm going to rotate the foot a little bit, and yeah, I can, yeah, that's good. Uh, and I can also use the swell controller, the swell, and then I'm gonna rotate the knee a little bit, so that, here we can see the knee is kind of facing outwards. So I just add rotation to the knee as well. The same thing I'm gonna do with this leg. I'm gonna rotate the foot a little bit, outwards like this, and I'm also gonna select this swell controller, and then I'm gonna move it outside a little bit, so that it's facing a little bit outside. Yeah, so these are the two things which I did made. I don't think I have to do anything else other than this for now. So now I will move on to the hands. So one thing we know about the hand is that the pivot of the hand controller is on the wrist, which is a good thing. But here we want the pivot to be on the knuckles, because here we can see like the part of the hand which is touching the ground is the knuckles. There's a knuckle, so the gorilla is kind of touching the ground with a knuckle, and then he's also compressing it a little bit, right? So we need something at the knuckles, so that we can have a pivot on the knuckle, because right now if I want to animate, it'll be a little bit hard. And the second thing here I can see is when I rotate the hand controller, the rotation order is not making much sense. But anyway, like, I will be constraining the hand to the pivot. We will be fine. I'm going to hold my I will hold E button on the keyboard. I will hold left mouse click on the mouse, and I'll go to the object mode. In that way I can rotate a little bit more easily. So now I'm going to try to make a similar pose on which is here on frame 0. I'm going to move the hand down somewhere here, where we can see this pose. I'm going to move this hand down here like this, something like this. I can also rotate the shoulders a little bit, so that we can, first I'm going to rotate the shoulder forward, because we can see that the shoulder is kind of rotated quite forward, and we don't really see much weight at this point. I feel like the shoulder is a little bit down here. We don't see much weight here. So I think something like this should be enough. If we want, we can even go further, and we can reduce the size of the arm, but I'm not going to do that. But yeah, so this is the first pose. I think it's a pretty good pose, I think. So yeah, something like this. I'm also going to go ahead, and I'll make some pose here for the fingers. And so as we can see, like, the hand is already on the ground, so the weight is already there on the fingers. So I will get started by making finger pose here. I also have to make finger pose on the back legs. So first I will make on this hand, and then I will maybe go back and make on the back foot as well. So I'm gonna rotate this fingers like this first, in somehow like this. And then I'm gonna rotate the second knuckles somehow like inwards like this. It's trying to make a good sense of it. something like this. I'm also going to rotate them inward. This seems like a decent enough pose. I can move the hand a little bit up. I can rotate this last part of the fingers a little bit, just a little bit, not too much. That's enough. So yeah, this would be our hand pose, and I can give a pose to the thumb as well. So I'm just gonna select the thumb, move it somehow like this. This one, something like this is good. Again, the same thing here. I'm gonna select this hand, and I'm gonna so there is no option as no swell option here on the hand, like what we have here on the foot controller. We have this swivel, this one. So we don't have any option like this on the hand. So instead, we'll have to use this arrow controller to face this elbow. So I will place it somewhere here, so that this elbow is facing somewhere here like this. I think that should be good. Yeah. And now I'm also going to I'm going to go to create and create a locator. And I'm going to place this locator somewhere here because I need a pivot from this part of the hand, so that, because the hand will be rotating like this from here. So I'm just going to place this locator here on the ground, somewhere here, like I will place it here. And I'm going to select, maybe I'll angle this locator so that, it's angled like a hand, like this. And I'm going to select this locator first, select the hand. I'm going to go to constraint. Sorry, I'm going to go to animation, constraint, and parent. And I'm going to turn on the maintain offset and add. So now we have this locator, which will help us to, animate the hand. So I'm just going to leave this locator here for now. We will be animating this locator instead of animating this hand controller, because this hand controller is constrained to the locator at this point. So we will not be able to animate any of this translation and rotation on the hand controller because we just constrained it to this locator. Okay, so this is good. And I think I will also select this locator and move it inside, because I think, the looking at the from the front view here, we can see that the back foot should be, we need to have a space, like, we need to have a space here. So like, when the hand will go back, it will not intersect with this foot or both of these foot. So I'm just trying to keep this, hand in the middle of both of these. And also I can move this, the main body a little bit in this direction, so that, because usually when these creatures they walk, they kind of lean on one direction, one side more than another. um, we can also try, moving this hand, this locator, we can also try moving a little bit this side instead of there, because, in this way now, I think, yeah, let's do that. Instead of moving this hand in between, we'll move it like on this side, because here we can see like this hand, the other side of the hand is in the middle of both of these legs. So this hand is kind of landed uh, on the inner side of this foot. So that means this hand will be on the outer side, because usually if you observe the gorillas from all angles, you will see that their hands are a little bit outside, like, their body is kind of leaning towards one direction. So I'm gonna also do that. I'm gonna move the body a little bit in this direction, like in this hand direction which is there, and maybe I'll add some rotations and, something like this, I think. Yeah, so this is a good pose. And now I'm going to do the same thing which I did with this hand to this hand. I will bring it down and I will rotate it, and I will place it somewhere here where we can see in the reference. So I'm going to rotate it. I'm going to move this middle body a little bit here. So yeah, now let's move on to the detailing of this fingers. I'm going to move it a little bit forward somewhere here. select all the fingers now and make that same pose which we are made on other hand. Kind of broken. Some knuckles are a little bit broken, but it's fine. Something like this. The again, the ending, we need to shape this thumb in a little bit better way. This. So yeah, so we have this pose. Again, now I'm gonna go to create and I'm gonna create a locator. I'm gonna place this locator somewhere here and somewhere here, and I'm gonna angle this locator somehow like this so that is angled towards properly like the hand. That's it. I'm gonna select the hand. I'm gonna select the locator. Sorry, first locator first and then hand, and constrain parent, maintain offset on, add. So yep, so now we have a starting pose for this gorilla. And if I want to go further, make this pose better, I can move this spine a little bit down here so that we have a nice arc in the spine. And I can select this chest controller and I can rotate a little bit further like this, up like this, which will also give us a better pose here on this arm like this. So yeah, this is a nice shape. And let's go ahead and let's make a decent shape for the fingers as well. So I'm just gonna select we have this controller here, on all fingers have this controller. So I'm just gonna use this global controller for the fingers of the back fingers. Maybe not. I think it'll be better to give better details by selecting by making poses using this proper finger controllers here. So I think, yeah, let's do that. So I'll start with this thumb. I'm gonna rotate the thumb down, and then I'm gonna rotate this last finger up. I'm gonna rotate this thumb. I think we don't really not need to rotate the other sides. I think we can just shape this end sides a little bit like this. Okay, so we have a back body fingers done. We don't really have to detail the front fingers yet. I'm just gonna give angle somehow like this. That's it. So yeah, we have our first pose. I'm just gonna select everything. I forgot one thing. I have to angle the right arm pole vector. So I'm gonna angle it somehow like this. Yeah, that's good. So now I think I should be confident enough to go ahead and select everything and key on frame 0. So one thing, as soon as I will key, the first thing that will happen is the parent constraint will break, because whenever we key something, we have to specifically mention that the parent constraint should be 1. So I'm just going to select this hand controller and make this blend parent to 1. And I'll do the same thing with the other hand as well, make this blend parent to 1. Yeah, we have our first pose. So this first pose should also be the last pose. So I'm gonna, select everything again, and I'm gonna just drag. I'm just gonna go to frame 40. I'm gonna key there as well. So now we have first and last frame of the cycle. So now the next thing we should do is we should make the same pose like on frame 22. I one thing I see, like that, because this frame 22, it's like, seems like the frame 22 and frame maybe frame 21, I think. Yeah, frame 21 and 20, you know and 0, they looks kind of the same kind of, by looking at this angle of this arm and the back foot. It seems like this cycle should be, if frame 21 is the mid part, then the ending of this cycle need to be 42. So I'm just going to change my full frame range of the cycle. So I'm going to select this all the keys again, and I'm going to move the last frame to frame 42. The reason I'm deciding that is because I can see here that frame 21 is the mid part. You can make frame 20 also mid, but I kind of have a feeling that frame 21 should be the mid part, because just by looking at the angle of the foot. So I will be more confident with frame 21, because yeah, yeah, I think frame 21 should be the mid part. So yeah, now instead of 40 frame cycle, we'll be making a 42 frame cycle. So we always realize some things like this, and then we have to make modifications. So yeah, so now the next thing we are going to do is, we already made the pose, we already made first and last frame. So now we will go ahead and we'll make the mid frame, which is frame 21. Okay, so I'm gonna, as I mentioned, like, I'm making a treadmill cycle, which means that we are making it in a way that this gorilla is walking on a treadmill. So yeah, I don't really need to move the main controller. I can keep the main controller at the same place, and I can just move the foot back. I have to reverse many things here on the body, and I have to, so yeah, I can just move the foot back here. I'll make it, I'll move it as back as our other controller is, so somewhere till here. And then I'm going to select this other foot, and I'm going to move that other foot forward. And as here we can see, like, we are going to move it forward as much as the other controller was, which is like somewhere here, I think. So now we can see, yeah, it's kind of, somewhere till there. So one thing I realized, when I moved them back, I should have moved them in the world mode. So right now my translation is in the object mode. So I went back, I removed the keys. So I should be moving them back in the world mode. So I'm going to hold W, left mouse click, and I'll go to the world, and I'm going to move this controller back in the world, so that I'm not moving them like like this in an angle. I want to move them straight back, because this gorilla, the treadmill, will be rotating straight back, right? So I will be going to the world, and I will be moving it, this foot back, somehow like this. And I'll select this other controller, and I'll move it forward. How much forward do we need to move it? We can just click on 0, and we can see how far need to go. I think you need to go way more further, like somewhere till here. So yeah, this is good. We can always change their position later. For now, we need to get a general idea. Like, we can always, if this foot need to move a little bit more or a little bit less, we can always scale the Z. For now, I think this is good. The same thing we have to do with the hands. But before we move on to hand, let's select this. Let's also remove this rotation on this controller. I'm gonna move it to 0, and rotation on this ball controller also to 0. And like, again, now it looks like this foot is rolling, but it's not really rolling, it's just stretching. The more I move this foot can't just I turn off the stretching, so it's not going to stretch. So what we have to do here, we have to make the pose which we are seeing in the back foot manually here, by rotating this controller, by rotating this controller a little bit, somehow like this. And now we have to also I'm going to select all the finger controllers, and I'm going to make all the finger controllers I selected all the finger controllers, and I'm going to make all of them 0. so that they are all flat. And I will be rotating these fingers later when I'm done with the body. First, I want to make the major details. And now, as I mentioned, like when we were making the first pose, the things I applied, the rules I applied on the first pose, I'm going to apply the same rules when I'm working on the back body. So because this side of, because this foot right now is kind of pushing the body, this back foot, you can say right foot. So that's why the right side of the body will be a little bit up, because this side of the body is getting pushed. And I'm going to rotate the body in in this Z rotation like this, so that because this foot is back, so this side of the body need to be back as well. And rest, I don't really need to worry. I can leave this X same. I don't need to add anything. So I think this looks like a decent pose, maybe a little bit less of this rotation here. Yeah, rest is same, it's fine. uh, and if I want, I can maybe move it a little bit down, but I don't really need to. I think this is fine. So this is good. Now moving on to the front body, this hand, which we will be controlling this hand controller using this locator. So I'm gonna move this locator back here, and I'm gonna be rotating this locator somehow like this, and it's good. Maybe I can move this locator slightly up to give some space for the fingers. Um, yeah, and I'm gonna angle this ball vector a little bit back, where we can see like the elbow is kind of facing back. So I'm just doing it. And let's see what happened in the shoulder. So we can see the shoulder is also moving back here. So I'm going to select the shoulder. I'm going to move it down and a little bit back. That's it. That we don't need to do too much here. We can always, because in the end we will be doing way more details in this animation. We will be doing like way more detailing. For now, we don't have to worry too much. Okay, I'm gonna select this other locator, and I will be moving the other foot forward somewhere here, and I will also angle this hand somehow like this foot, like front hand, you can say, something like this, maybe somewhere here. Now I also have to rotate the body. The body need to go in other direction somehow like this, which we can see here. The body is kind of rotating like this, so which we are doing here. We are rotating the body like this. I'm gonna rotate the body. I'm gonna also move the body a little bit in screen right, and maybe I can stretch the body a little bit, because we can see just because overall we need to have a decent scale in the body. So like because before, this body seems like kind of squeezing a little bit, so now it looks better. So yeah, this is a decent enough for the front body. I'm also in the first frame, I should have gave some little bit rotation to the body, but I think I didn't really feel like giving rotation, because it seems like the chest is almost straight here. But on frame 21, I can feel that the other side, the right side of the chest, is a little bit up, and the left side of the body is a little bit down. Yeah, I think something like this. I can also move this body a little bit up here. Something like this. I'm gonna select the other shoulder. I'm gonna rotate it a little bit forward, move it up a little bit, or maybe move it down. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We also have to angle the other hand properly. So I'm just gonna give angle like that. Shoulder down. I think I should move it a little bit down, because here we can see he moved his shoulder quite down here. But I don't want to make any changes yet. We will be doing the detailing on the hand. One, we can also see that the the body here, the we can see like the this arm is stretched quietly. It's quite stretched quietly, that's a good word. So I think maybe I can move it a little bit more back, and I can rotate it a little bit more like this. Maybe not, we'll see. We still have to do the detailing. For now I'm not worried about the arm, the that whether it should be straight or not. I'm just trying to get the overall pose right. And I can also see that the butts are kind of losing its shape again. So I need to do a little bit more better rotation here for this side of the body. So maybe I can select this butt controller, the hip controller, and I can rotate it a little bit down here. Just trying to troubleshoot things. But I have to tell you guys that this is not final. We have to do way more details in this animation, so don't make anything final yet, because when you start detailing you'll see that, oh, this thing is not working, that thing is not working. So there are so many things, so many more things that will come, uh, on our way. So yeah, I think this, we can say like this is a decent enough pose. I'm gonna also maybe, I have some weird feeling with the pose. I'm happy with this first pose, but this last pose I just feel like something is weird. Maybe we can try to fix this spine from looking at the up view. Something like this. Okay. Yeah, okay, so this is good. Now I will select everything, and I'm gonna key everything again. I know I haven't did details on the fingers, and even on the front hand fingers. I'm not gonna do it yet, because fingers will need their own time. We will be spending it proper time on the fingers. For now, I'm just gonna keep it like somehow like that, because on the first frame we realized like how we need to pose the fingers, so it'll be the kind of same here. So we'll do that later. So yeah, we have the second pose here, the mid pose, we can say. So we have the base of the cycle now. The gorilla is kind of sliding on the place. So now, yeah, we can start doing the next poses now. See, the main thing is not really about the poses. Once the poses are done, we will be refining the motion on each and every controller. So refining the motion will be the most important part. For now, we are trying to get a blocking of this cycle. So that's why we are doing this. So now we can make a sorry about that. I received a quick call. Let me quickly pause it. So yeah, it's recording again. Sorry, I had to I had to help my wife. Okay, so yeah, we made this two poses. Now we'll make some in between poses first. Some of the important poses, I'll say. So I think let's try to find some more important poses, and which will help us to make this animation right. So I think this frame 14 is looks like a very important pose, because this the left foot and the right hand are kind of touching the ground of this gorilla. So I think this could be a really important pose which we can make. And the same thing goes here around frame 36. Again, the same thing will happen on frame 36 or 37. Again, the right foot and the left hand are touching the ground. So we will make these as the same pose on this frame as well. For now, yeah, this will be a important pose like on frame 14. And also we have to make this pose, I think we can say this frame 8 pose, because on frame 8 one foot is in the air and one arm is in the air, and we have a nice pose in the arm. So we have to make this pose on frame 8, because in here the body is balancing on only two limbs. So which it would be a good pose to understand what kind of weight is going on in the body. So I'll go on frame 8, and I will make I'll start by making this pose first, and then we'll go ahead and we'll make these four more poses quickly. So yeah, I'll go on frame 7 or 8. I think 7 would be good, because from 0 to 7 and 7 to 14, I will be, after that we'll be making frame 14. So let's make this pose on frame 7. Yeah, on frame 7, like, yeah, it will be good balance, like 0 to 7, 7 to 14, 14 to 21, 21 to plus 7, like 29 or something, like 21 plus 7 is equal to 28. So yeah, 28. So after that we'll make frame 28, and then we'll make frame, like we'll have a nice balance of the frames. So yeah, we'll make this frame 7. Okay, so I will, on frame 7, I'm gonna select this hand controller first, because the body is going to remain at the same spot. Only the limbs is going to move, because it's a treadmill cycle. So I'm going to move this arm a little bit back, so that it's right under the shoulder, as you can see here. I'm going to select this other arm, and I'm going to rotate the arm like this, and I will move it up somewhere here, like this. This don't worry about the fingers yet, because as I mentioned, like, we'll have a we will be working on the finger separately at the end, let's say. And yeah, I'm going to select the these are this foot, like these controllers of this foot, and I'm going to make them 0, so that they are properly on the ground. And I'm also going to move this foot a little bit back. Here we can see that this foot is way back, almost and at the, yeah, somewhere here I think it will be good, because yeah, we'll see how far because in the end we will be selecting all these 4 limbs, and we'll be making sure they are moving in a good way. So for now I just want to get the pose right quickly. I'm gonna move this foot a little bit up. I think with the back body we don't really need to do much, because things are already I think, yeah, this pose seems like a good pose. The main thing is not about the limbs and all. The main thing about also is about the body, because right now, because this side of the body is not like, this hand is not holding the weight, because this hand is in the air. So that means this side of the body will go up, because here we can see, like, yeah, there are some things which you can only understand with experience and some research. So if you will do enough research, you will see that when the weight is on one hand, this side of the body will fall down. So which means I'm going to rotate the body like this, and I'm also going to transfer the weight of the body a little bit towards this side, like I'm going to move this controller a little bit towards the right side, so the weight is on this hand, this arm, like somehow like this. The same thing I'm going to do with the back body. I'm going to select the back body controller, and I'm going to do the same thing, because now the weight is on this leg, which is on the ground. I'm going to rotate the controller like this, and I'm going to move this controller a little bit towards this side of the leg. And now by doing that, we can see, like, we made a weird shape in the spine. So now we have to also fix the shape on this of the spine. Maybe I'll rotate the body controller a little bit like this. I will rotate the back body controller a little bit like this, move it in. I'm going to select this foot controller also, and I'll move it a little bit in like this, so that uh, because it's kind of weird that this guy will be moving leg a little bit like so much outside like this. So I think I'm just going to move it a little bit in. I'll select the swell controller, and uh, you know I'll shape the knee somewhere like this. The same thing, like I'll select this hand controller, and I'm gonna rotate a little bit like this, and now I'm also gonna move it a little bit in like this. So yeah, just making a good pose overall. And maybe we can select this shoulder as well, and try to make a little bit better pose in the shoulder, because even the shoulder will also get some weight, right? So I'm just going to move the shoulder up, and maybe I'll select the body and I'll move it a little bit down like this. So yeah, just doing some quick fixes. That's it. This is our frame 7 pose. I want to make sure that whenever I make a main pose, I key everything. So I'm going to select everything and I'm going to set key on frame 7. So we have a nice frame 7 pose. Now we are going to move to frame 14 and we'll make this pose. So I think this pose should be quick. Select this locator, move it forward and rotate it like this, because I think this guy is stretching this arm quite far. So we'll stretch it somewhere like this. And remember, like, we'll be again in the end, we will be detailing all these things properly, because this is not the final positioning, because there will be many other things which will come in count. So for now we are just making the poses. The motion, we will be working on the motion later properly. So yeah, we push this limb forward, maybe somewhere here, and then we'll select this locator for the other hand as well. It seems like it's at a correct position, but let's see. So yeah, what we'll do here on frame 14, I think we will also rotate the body. As you can see, like, the gorilla's body, the front body should also be rotating, because this other arm is going forward. So the body should also rotate somehow like this. And because the weight haven't fallen on this arm yet, so I think the body should still remain rotated towards like this. So something like this. We have to move this foot also forward. I'm going to remove the rotations from these two controllers. I'm going to move the foot down so that it's touching the ground. And here I'm also going to use this because this foot is tapping. So I will make this tapping action a little bit. I'm going to rotate this foot a little bit like this and move it even further like this. So yeah, this could be our pose. I'm also going to add some swell. Okay, so this is good. And as you can see, like, the back foot is almost on the ground. So we will again select everything here, down here, all these controllers, and we are going to make them 0 so that they are on the ground. But we have to add some roll so that it's not stretching. Like, we do see some roll already happening here. We can see, like, if I play, there's some roll, but I think it's not, the roll is not 100% like working properly. But for now, yeah, see, for now, let's see how it goes. For now, we will add some roll. We'll see how it goes. And on frame 14, we also see that this foot should be a little bit forward, because there's a nice bend happening. But there's a camera angle thing also. So I think we can leave it somewhere here for now, the back foot. So I think this is safe to say that this is a nice pose for frame 14. The details will happen. So for now, we are just making the overall poses. I'm going to select everything and key. So we have our first main poses done. I'm going to quickly save this file just in case if it crash. So save this file. Now let's move on. Now moving on to, so after frame 21 plus 7 is equal to 28. So now we'll make frame 8. So yeah, on frame 28. So on frame 28, I'm gonna select this locator. I will rotate it like this. I'll move it up. What we are seeing here, I'm gonna just do the same things. Yeah, the hand is already moving forward, so that's great. I'm gonna give a nice shape here to the hand, maybe something like this, moving it up a little bit inside this, because on this frame, the weight is on this hand, and this hand is not gonna carry any weight. So I will also be rotating the body somehow like this. Yeah, I think this is good. And the shoulder also will carry some weight here. Also move the body a little bit down so that we can give some weight to the shoulder. It's good. Again, this foot is on the ground, so we can remove all these rotations. So this seems like a decent pose. And on also from 28, like we can add some more roll on these controllers. We can select these controllers and we can add the roll even more. So here we can see, like on the other foot, it's rolling quite a lot. So like, we can add all those rolling actions here. We can add a little bit inverse foot roll, because we can see like there's a weird like roll happening on the foot. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm also gonna raise this foot controller in the air, because this foot is in the air. I'm also gonna move it a little bit closer to the side. And now we can also, like, one thing for sure, like because the weight is on this side, I'm gonna move the body a little bit towards this. And as you know that the weight is on this leg, we have to rotate the body more like this. We have to give a proper weight, proper shape to the spine. So yeah, like something like this would be nice. This is good. I think now I can select everything and key everything. Good. We got a decent pose on this frame. That's good. Now the last one would be frame 35. So 28 plus 7 is equal to 35. So I'll go to frame 35 and I'll try to make this pose. So for that, it should be very simple. So rotate this locator like this. Move it somewhere here like this. Like this other locator, move it a little bit back. So that somewhere here, maybe not. I think we don't need to move. I think it's fine. Yeah, so because will remember, we'll still be working on the fingers, so don't worry about that. We'll select this because now on frame 35, this other leg is about to do the contact. The thing is, the contact is happening on frame 36, but we are trying to keep all the frames like we can say odd. So like in line, because 0 to 7, 7 to 14, 14 to 21, 21 to 28, 28 to 20, 35. So for that reason, I will not be we should be making the pose on frame 36, but I think it's fine. It's safe to say 35 is fine. I'm going to move this foot forward. I'm going to remove all these rotations. I'm going to add a small tap here. I'm going to move this controller on the ground. And yeah, it's safe to say that this is a nice contact position for this foot. Again, like the weight. Now let's go back to the spine. The weight, this foot haven't touched, this hand haven't touched the ground yet. The weight haven't shifted on this arm yet. So it's safe to say that the weight should be on this side of the body. And we can also rotate the body a little bit like this. And again, on the body also, like the weight is on still on this side, because this side haven't touched the ground yet. So it's safe to say that we can rotate this side like the left side of the body, and can move the body a little bit towards this, something like this. And also on frame 35, these rotations should be 0. And just to fix this stretch, we can add some small roll here in the knee. So yeah, so now we have the blocking of the cycle. This is the blocking of our cycle. So now what's the next step? The next step is detailing the animation and understanding the motions, like what's going on. So yeah, let's just get started by foot motion, because I think animating the foot will be the easiest here, and then maybe we'll move forward to the hands and then the body. Okay, so here we can see, like the foot is still rolling. So now before we do anything else, we are going to select this all 4 limbs, the front hand locators and the back foot controllers. We'll select all 4 of them. We'll select Z translations of all of them, and we want to make sure that all of them are moving in a same pace, in a same speed. So what it means, like when they're on the ground, they need to be moving on the same speed. So like what I need to do here, I'm going to select, I'll start by this one, which is this right hand. So I will start by making this curve straight, because the treadmill will be moving in a constant speed, right? So if the treadmill is moving constant, like even this Z curve also need to be moving in constant speed. This is a thing which you need to do when you are making a cycle, a treadmill cycle. You have to understand, like this need to be straight. And we also have to make sure that our other controllers are also doing the same thing when they are on the ground. So yeah, this seems like a constant speed. And not just that, we also have to make sure that all these when all these controllers are on ground, they have the same speed. So let's say this speed is the benchmark, so we have to match. So now we will move on to this other one, which is foot. So I'll try to do the same thing here again. Select both of these first and last key always together, and maybe I'll move this frame 42. I think I would like to move it a little bit more back so that we have the kind of same speed. So now on frame 21, maybe I'll move it a little bit down, get the similar. So here we can see we are kind of getting almost same speed. I'm going to make it straight. And on frame 14, you can feel free to stretch. So as you can see, like the leg is getting stretched for now. Don't worry, because now we are on refinement phase, and we will be refining all these things one by one. So as long as you know where you're going, you don't have to worry about it. So we know where we are going. So right now we are just trying to get done with this motion, the ground motion. So as you can see, now it's straight, so it's good, and they look kind of same as well. So moving on to this right foot, again it should be the same, the motion on the ground. First we'll select the first and last key. We'll make sure they are straight like this. I'll try to match their straightness to this this line which we already fixed. So now we also have to move it a little bit up just to match with the speed. As I mentioned like before, that don't worry too much about this pose, because we are gonna fix a lot of things. And now on frame 14, I'm gonna be moving this up. Straight. going straight. I think safe to say that this is good because so all the Z controllers, this speed need to be same. This Z speed, because this is the main thing which we are doing. Like that, because they'll be walking on the treadmill, they all the limbs need to have a similar speed. Yeah. So not 100% same, but at least we are almost there. The remaining we can always fix. We can always fix the remaining things. And like yeah, there are way more important things than this, other important things which we'll get on later. For now, let's I want to get this done, so we can move on to the other parts again. Now we'll move on to this other foot. This foot also need to have the same speed. Okay, so I think this is good. So we have all the controllers having the same speed, so which is good. Now we can move on to the refinement. So I was mentioning, now we are going to detail the foot what first, and then we'll move on to the other parts. Okay. So I feel like this foot is coming in contact with the ground on frame 15. So I think I'm gonna add a key here, and I'm gonna smooth things out a little bit like this. And after that, now I like this stretchiness we will be fixing also by rotating this one a little bit like this. And I think we might need to move this down also, but there's one more thing we can do here is we can move this entire Z back like this. That also could be a good solution. How about we try everything little by little? So like we try everything. We can also try you know moving this main controller a little bit down. So yeah, this sounds like a good solution. Again, like we will be refining way more when we reach on the animation of this other controllers. For now, we are just trying to refine the foot animation. Okay, so we can clearly see like this the main controller is already moving in Z translation. So we can say like oh, it's fine. Yeah. So my rule is till the time this foot is in contact with the ground, it should keep going back in the Z. So we can see like on till frame uh, till frame 2, like this foot is still going in the back and still touching with the ground. So I will make sure that this foot controller is continuously moving back. There's one more thing we can do. We can select all the controllers and go to curves and pre infinity and cycle. Again, curves, post infinity and cycle. Now if we go to view and turn on the infinity, so now we'll be able to see that how the cycle will look. This will make our life easier when we are trying to visualize our cycle like this, so that we can see how the curve is looking before that, instead of just coming back here and looking. So this is a little bit more easier. So the reason I was saying that I need to make sure that this controller is continuously going back, because when we are on trade making the treadmill cycle, we need to make sure that it's moving with like a treadmill. So yeah, and now I will Select this controller, rotate it even more. Like this. A little bit less on this one. I can also move this controller up because I think it's already starting to go up the fingers. And we will also be animating the fingers here. So it's safe to say that we can move it forward just a little bit because we need to cover up for those fingers. And after that, we can start moving it forward with the speed. Trying to smooth things out a little bit. Okay, so yeah, now moving on to this tap here. So the tap is happening on frame 14. And we can say like the foot is gonna go down by frame 17 or 18. So I'm gonna select, I'm gonna add a key here and I'm gonna make this tap 0. Maybe I can increase this tap a little bit more here. And decrease it a little bit here. Also gonna add slight smoothness on the Z translate here. It's a little bit too sharp. Just gonna add a little bit smoothness so that it's landing not too smooth, but a little bit smooth. Maybe it might be a little bit too smooth. Okay, so now we have to get that momentum on this tab as well. So the momentum means like this, the motion of the foot need to continue because here when the foot is moving nicely, but here we see a sudden stoppage, like the foot suddenly try to stop here, like which disrupt the movement a little bit. So we want to make sure that the motion of the foot need to continue nicely. Yeah, looking better. So I think, yeah, the foot overall movement is looking decent. There is a little bit pop on the knee, which we can fix later because we still have to worry about the beast. We are going to work on the body as well. So when we fix the body, I think this pop will be fixed automatically. We'll see. Now let's move on to the other foot controller because right now we are trying to do the basic details first. We'll do the other details later. If you want to go a little bit more further, you can also try to add this bank. There's a nice rock, I mean this rocking action. We can try to add this here. So maybe like on frame 21 we can select this rock action, and like we can add a little bit rocking action here, just so that the when the foot is landing it has a nice kind of angle. It will also help us smooth our foot animation while landing. So yeah, also rock a little bit in other direction here, like this a little bit. Yeah, I think this is good. It's looking good. A little bit more better animation on the X translation here. So as soon as the foot is leaving the ground, I think it's just moving in the X translation a little bit too early because the foot is in contact with the ground till frame 2. So we need to make sure that the foot is remaining on the same spot till frame 2. So I will not be moving the foot in X translation till frame 2. So it's going to stay here, and after that it will quickly move in X translation, and then it will kind of try to go back a little bit faster. And I think here I can try to reduce this because we can see the shape of the foot is a little bit different here. So I can try to reduce this, roll here. Even this one a little bit. So yeah, these are some of the details which we did. We'll move on to the fingers later. Let's quickly do the same details on the other foot. This one. So like this foot is remaining in the contact with the ground till frame 24 or maybe even 25. So we should just go ahead and like we should try to continue this linear motion in Z, because we will be rotating this controller to add this, not moving the main controller. So I'm just smoothing it out a little bit because we will be moving the fingers as well. So just a kind of action to save us from there. Maybe frame 25, I think. So something like this. Now we can select this controller. So now we can start doing some other details. Just detailing this roll so that it's not looking like the foot is stopping here. We want this motion to continue. So just adding a few more. Like that. And also working on the up translation. foot is not moving up till frame 25, so we can keep it down. But it, as we will be adding some finger movement here, so we can move it up. But after frame 25, I think we can move it a little bit more up, something like that. So yeah, now we can see like we're starting to get some nice motion here. The leg is stretching. I think we'll work on it again. The stretching leg, we might fix it when we are working on the spine. So I think we can ignore it for now. Now again, we will be back on the tapping action. There's a weird motion here which we need to fix before we move on. So like this action, this retranslate need to continue. So I think this foot we need to continue to move this till frame 37. So, I know it's stretching on frame 37, but, we need to do this again, like we need to, we'll figure it out. Stretching a little bit too much. One more thing we can do is we can select all these controllers again, the hand and the foot controller. We can select all the Z controllers. And we can scale all of them a little bit, so that they are not starting with the foot ones. We can scale them so that they are not having that much of a movement, because sometimes it might be a little bit too much. We can reduce their movement, but we have to do this on all of them. Like, it should not just be foot controllers, it need to be the hand controller also. All the scaling need to look same in all of them, so somehow like this. So yeah, moving back to the tap. Tapping is starting on frame 37, so the extreme tap should be here on frame 37. Trying to get a nice motion on the tap. Okay. I think I should be safe to say that, when it's stretching a little bit like this, maybe I think we can try moving it up the Z, because I think now we made ourselves a little bit space. But if you're doing that, we are stretching it in this direction. So maybe at least here in the back, we can, add a little bit more roll to help us with that. Maybe around here, we can try adding some roll. So yeah, just, trying to make sure that everything works together. Okay, now this stretch here, we can fix it by, adding a little bit more movement here. Okay. So I think it's safe to say that we have a decent detail on the foot. We still have to work on the fingers, but let's do the hands first. Let's get the overall movement right first before we do details like fingers and other stuff. Okay, so yeah, starting with the hand. This maybe let's start with the left hand. Uh, I will work on the rotation first. The reason is we can see the foot landing here. The the hand need to have a nice, it need to always face this shoulder nicely. It need to be stiff. So I'm just trying to make sure that the stiffness is working. And like here, I think it can stay stiff till this frame 21, and after that you can start rotating. I think we can do a little bit more work on the Z translation, because here on frame 42 the hand is on the ground, but we can imagine like the hand must be touching the ground somewhere around frame 38 or so. So I think we can continue this Z translation here, and we can do something like this where, yeah, something like this. Right now, the main thing which we have to get right here is right before this, the way the hand twist right before leaving the ground, we have to get that one right. You can see like, the hand nicely leave the ground very smoothly. So we have to understand that we have to get that in a nice way, so that we will be able to do from this rotation X. So, we can say on frame 20 can remain somehow like this, and then we'll start getting some rotation here. That rotation will intensify very quickly. It's all a game of momentum. Like, if you understand the momentum, you'll understand that, because the hand is suddenly moving forward on frame 26, but till 25 I think the hand should not move that much. So we can, we can, it should be safe to say that, we can keep it somehow like this, so that, till frame 25 is doing something like that. So let's see how long it is. Well, I think it's almost 1.5 hours since I'm animating. Yeah, but I'm gonna continue. So again, continuing to work with the rotation. We need to make sure that this rotation works properly. can also start some the translation here as well. Quickly pausing the recording for something. Okay, so I took a quick break. I'm back. So I believe I was working at this hand, and so let's continue. So yeah, we were trying to get this leaving the ground movement right. So like yeah, so I think the main thing is like when this hand leave the ground. So getting that part right is the tricky thing. So we just want to make sure that all angles are working properly. And so like for example, like when this hand is like so here we need to understand like how the hand is tilting and all this stuff. So if you understand like the best thing is like if you try it yourself, if you try it yourself and try doing it you know physically, and then you will understand how it should work. With this, like we can also try moving the hand in X direction, because as we can see, like the hand is because if you try to observe, like we see the hand is still in contact with the ground till frame 25. So we can so technically, like we have to continue moving this hand back till frame 25, and after that this hand will start moving forward. So we have to make sure that until frame 25 this hand is in contact with the ground, which means this translation which is happening on frame 25 is should not it should happen properly. Yeah, slight amount of moving should be fine, but it should not be too much. So now we can add it a little bit more. Even here, when this guy is landing the foot, I think maybe even there we can try to first of all, this X translation should again be like so when the hand is on the ground it need to be straight. So when the hand like so around here when the hand is landing, we need to make it properly, because here the rotation is looking a little bit funny on the wrist. So we have to make sure that our wrist is working properly. So yeah, this seems decent enough. I just don't like that that the hand locks very hard in the X rotation. So like after the hand landed here on frame 38, I want the land to remain a little bit flexible, because it should not lock like here it's locking very hard here. So we need to have some flexibility in the hand. So right now I'm slowly as I'm detailing, I'm also trying to go into detail. Like if something is not working with my interest. If I feel like that it doesn't, it should look like this, it should look like that, so I'm just going ahead and adding those details. So yeah, something like this should be good. This seems like a nice detail for the hand. I looks like it's working. Turn it off. Maybe we can try to slow down the translation X slightly. It might look better. For translation Z, it might look a lot of work, but the truth is, like, it's what we are trying to do here is just like understand how the body of the gorilla is moving, and how the pivot is working. So it's just like the more you like in the beginning you might not get uh, you know this this much fast, but as you practice you will see that you get this flow slowly. Okay, so yeah, I'm just trying to get something right here. Okay, so I think this hand is looking pretty good, and the legs are already done. So now only one more leg left, one more hand left. So let's get it done, and then we'll move on to the body. Animating the body will be the most interesting part. So yeah, okay. So like we know that this hand is touching the ground on frame 14. So I think this hand should be very straightforward. So let's try it. Just trying to get the rotation right before I move on to the other parts. So yeah, I think now getting the Z rotation properly as well. Like now where he's trying to touch the ground here on frame 14. So I want, it's my, I'm trying to make sure that he touched the ground with the proper hand angle, because if he touch the ground like this, it's a weird angle for the hand. I'm just trying to make sure that the hand is in a good shape. Now, at the same time, I also have to work properly with this x-axis, like x translation. As the hand is leaving the ground, it need to leave properly. In the beginning, it can leave the ground like somehow like this, and then it can. So as I mentioned, like in the beginning when we were making poses, those poses were, you know, like he's touching the ground on frame 14. So yeah, I was mentioning like in the beginning we were trying to get the poses right. So like those poses were there for us to just get started. It was not like the ultimate thing, like what we have the poses and we got the cycle done. That's not the truth. Like the truth is like you understand the motion and then you try to apply that motion properly here. So feel the speed, the translation speed of around here is a little bit too much. So I'm just trying to slow it down a little bit, just trying to understand what's going on. So I think we kind of got the overall motion right. Good. So we got the base motion of the hands properly. So now it's time for us to move on to the body, which is the more important part now. Let's start by working with the back body first. So we will be animating this back spine controller. So like we won't be able to see much what's happening with the back body, but what we can see here is the up and down. So let's nail down the up and down first, and then we'll move on to the other parts. The rotation, we might have to, use the rules, like, that which are the walk cycle rules for the, which I'm going to discuss soon. So yeah, in up and down here, I can see the down pose is on frame 16. If you look at the butts, if you look at the butt of this gorilla, like you see that the butts are falling down, 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 and frame 16 we can say is like the down pose. So I think we should be safe to move. Sorry, the Z translate should be the down pose here. So we should be safe to move. Say that this Z frame 16 is the down pose, and also like I'm not happy with the. I think this foot need to stretch a little bit more when it's touching the ground. So maybe we can try moving the foot a little bit forward like this. And here we can reduce this uh, rotation on the. I'm just trying to get things right one by one. So it's yeah. So on frame 16, I was saying like we is the frame 16 should be down pose. So I'm just gonna move it down. So here up is down here. So like this, I'm gonna say is the down pose. And after that, if I say like the gorilla is moving up slowly, so I'm gonna move up slowly, and then after frame, like before frame 14, I think there is a sudden going up part. So I'm gonna move up quickly here, and then I'm gonna continue to move up till frame 8. I'm gonna select this and I'm gonna continue to move it up, working backward. So after frame 8, it just kind of stays up for a few frames, and then it's going down again. Somewhere here. Yeah, we'll continue now. So again, now 16 is down, and it's kind of stay down till frame 18. And after 18, we can see like there's a sudden up going on. So we're gonna move it up. Then it will continue to move up till frame 24. Fixing some more things here and there. So yeah, gonna continue go up. There's a slight downward motion here. No, no, it is not. So yeah, you can, if you see the, I think it might be rotation. Yeah, so we'll keep it up, and as soon as the gorilla will land his butt here again on frame, I think till frame 34, we can say it's gonna stay up. And then it's gonna go down again. Same like this one. So if let's say 21 is the midpoint, we can just literally copy the same thing which is happening here on frame 21, move it up. We'll keep it up for a few more frames. somehow like this. Still around here, we need to work on the up and down motion a little bit. The reference is not complete, so I'm just going to try my own understanding like of up and down. We have our stuff going on. Now let's try sideways also. We can't see the sideways of the gorilla, but we can just try to figure it out, like how this gorilla will move on sideways. So maybe on frame 14, we can keep the body a little bit this side because the weight is on this side. The weight haven't fallen down on the other direction yet. And after that, after frame 16, I mean, around the weight will start going in other direction. Continue. Something like this, because this is like a contact pose, I can say, frame 42. So we can treat it like a walk cycle. Like, when the weight is on this foot, the body can move in this direction, and the weight is on when the weight is when the right foot is on the ground, the weight will go on the right foot. When the left foot is on the ground, the weight will go on the left foot. So I'm just applying those simple rules which we all know regarding the walk cycle. We can try a little bit more up and down here, like adding slightly more up and down motion here. Something like that. Now let's detail this Z rotation, which is very important, which is this rotation, so which is defining how our body should move. So let's do that. Right now, on frame 0, this is fine. You just smooth this out, and after that, the butt should rotate with the body, and should continue to rotate with the legs. I mean, like this. Just trying to make sure things are working nicely, and as soon as this part of the body will come in contact with the ground, I mean, this foot will start moving back. The body will also start rotating in other direction. So on frame 28, I think we can move it a little bit up. But yeah, just like it's an experiment, just to try it and see how things are working. If it doesn't look good, we can keep trying. So yeah, it seems like now the Z rotation is working nicely. Now we have to work on Y rotation, which will be the most important one, especially on the weight. So as soon as the weight will land on this foot, the left foot, the weight will suddenly fall. So, we can add a key maybe on frame 17 or around here. And then, I think maybe after, maybe on frame 18, we can keep it like this. And after that, we can start adding a little bit faster rotation in the hips here. Because, we want to have that sudden hip rotation because suddenly now the weight is falling on this leg. So we want to show that here. And, I see something else is also going on here with this something. Let me see, with stretching or what? This one, this one, I think it's fine. So by rotation, like as soon as the foot will land, the weight will start falling towards that foot. Again, after frame 39, when this foot touch the ground, when right foot touch the ground, we can add sudden sudden move there as well. This. So yeah, now we have hip rotation as well. I think it might be a little bit too much. I think, especially here, I see like you see like this hip is like almost breaking. So we can also try reducing it, like maybe something like this should be enough. We have to keep it subtle as well, so now it looks more natural. I'm also gonna work on now the X one. Let's see how the X is looking. So like if you see with the X, like we want to see like X is especially for this part. We want to see like when does this part of the body falls down. So if you see like after frame 14, the hips, the middle part suddenly fall down. So I'm just gonna maybe on frame 16 or maybe 15 or 16, I'm gonna keep it like this, something like this, and then you'll see some falling part, falling action happening in the hips. We'll keep it like that until, so frame 15 will be like we can say is 6 frame earlier. So we can say here 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 5 6. On frame 36 it will happen again, so we can just move it down again, same like this. uh, I think it should be good. Add some nice curves here. Few more things I'm gonna do, like around here I'm gonna add some more translation up, translation Z here, because I feel like it can go a little bit more up, because around here. One, two, three, four. Again here up to around frame 26, you'll have again the up pose here. Maybe somewhere this much should be enough. Just trying to refine this up and down on the back body. Again, I feel like this front foot need to go a little bit more further away. Because, when this foot is landing here, I want this foot to stretch a little bit more. So, I want to just stretch it a little bit more. Thing like that. We have to revisit this foot plantation here. So now, yeah, I'm happy with the back body now. Let's move on to the front body. One thing we realize here is as soon as after frame 16, there is sudden back and forth movement, which we have to do on the front main controller. So on frame 16, as soon as the foot is landing, there is sudden like movement happening in the body, which we have to add on the main controller. The body is suddenly kind of moving forward like this, then slowly is coming back. Three, four, five. Maybe there or maybe not. Wrong. Just thinking out loud and trying things, make sure. I think that's might be a little bit too wild. So I'm just gonna decrease it a little bit. Frame 32. I can move it a little bit back like this. Just gonna reduce it a little bit so that it's not that extreme. Something like that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Seems like the back body is working nicely. Now let's work on the front body. We can again start with up and down. Up and down of the front body will be very hard to visualize here because it's very subtle. So we can say like, on frame 14 is the highest point of the front body. So I can move it up a little bit like this. And after frame 14, the body will stay up and then kind of fall down here. So frame 20 does fall down a little bit, stay down. Say again, frame 37 will be up, pose again. like hard to visualize these things in the reference, but if you look hard enough, if you look in the skeleton, you'll start seeing these things. Yeah, now let's for now we'll leave it to this, and we'll move on to the other areas of the body. We'll come back if we need to. So now let's move on to the rotation Z, which is this one. Let's try to get this part of the rotation right. So one thing we can see, like after frame 0, when the rotation is kind of extreme like this, after frame 0, the rotation will, the body is rotating in other direction till frame 14, which is already happening here. So and then the body will kind of stay here till frame 23, maybe somewhere, somehow like this. Okay. Got some nice rotation happening now. I think maybe after frame 18 we can speed up this rotation a little bit more, so that we can get this momentum on this hand like this. Again, like after frame 0, we can again speed up the momentum in this side. I think I will like after frame 39 here, or maybe even 38, I'm gonna speed up this rotation so that we see it a little bit earlier, this this motion. Yeah, got some nice motion happening in the body. So rotation Y is done. Now let's move on to the rotation Y. Before, let's move on to the rotation translation X, because I really want to nail down how our body will look from this angle, because there are some things which are bugging me here. So maybe like for example, for on frame 7, maybe something like this would be nice, like somewhere here. You don't want to move too much. We can move it a little bit down here. Here, I feel like maybe I can just select this foot. I can just rotate it in Y, just maybe somehow like this. It might look better, something like this. Now looking at this hand as well, I can add few more details here. See, this is how we continue to observe, and we'll keep observing new things, and then we keep adding new details. Just trying out things here and there. Yeah, seems decent enough. We can't see the hand nicely yet because we still have to add the finger details here yet. So yeah, let's move on to the Y rotation on the body, front body. This seems like a decent enough rotation. As soon as this hand will land, the the body will slowly start falling in this direction, this hand, towards this hand. We'll try to find a neutral ground here. So yeah, something like this. I know the arms might be stretching at some point, but we are gonna fix it when we are working on the. Then we will try to fix some of that stretches with the shoulders. Yeah, so Y rotation done, Z rotation done, X is, yeah, X is also important. So the X will be, we'll try to observe, like, so we can see, like, what we're trying to see is like on which frame is the most extreme. So I feel like, on frame 24, the X reach to the most extreme like this. You can see, like, he's bending quite a lot with the front body on frame 24. So I will bend him. like, just by looking there. And now if you go backward, you'll see like he's quite straight on frame 17. So on frame 17, I'll come back here and I will add a decent amount of bend in the body like this. By doing that, we'll have a nice feeling on the, like this, you see, like this. And after that, and I'm gonna do the same thing first here, uh, like on frame 42 again. Maybe I'll increase the bend rule, like, so after frame 42, like in 3 to 4 frames, like for example here, 21, 24, 23, 24 in 3 frames. Again, here in 3 frames, it will bend the body again like this. Smooth out things here. And then if we go back again, 24, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 42, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm just gonna bend this guy nicely. Delete that. It's safe to say, like around here, we can bend it even further like this. So, I'm gonna smooth out some things here. Same thing here, like I'll come this side. I'll bend it nicely, somehow like this. And like, let's see how it looks. I have a feeling that I need to smooth out this Y rotation because it's happening a little bit, maybe I'll say too much. Let's see if I reduce it a little bit. How will it look? Maybe I can reduce it. And some back and forth movement which I added here, even that one I need to reduce it a little bit. We only understand after we, sometimes we have to go a little bit extreme to see how extreme we ran. So I think now again, like now I feel this Y rotation is again like a little bit too much. So I'm gonna reduce it. We can offset it a little bit. So yeah, just by doing that, we got a decent base for the Gorilla Walkcycle. I think it's safe to say that now we can move on to the shoulders. Looking decent from the up angle as well. Let's move on to the shoulders to add some remaining details. I'm going to select the shoulder. So as we can see, there is no details at this point. So we do have to add, especially here on frame 0. Now we can start by with this rotation Z first. I'm going to squeeze this a little bit. 3 frames, I can increase it a little bit. and it can stay up. Keep it up till you can see, like, the shoulders start dropping on frame 17 because this hand came in contact. So we can say till frame 17, I can keep it up, like not as much up, but as much as we can. After that, I can start dropping it slowly. In 36, I can again add some more rotation here. One more key here. Only thing I don't like is the drop around here. This drop is like a little bit too wild on the body. I think I'm gonna reduce it by going to this Z. I can make it a little bit smoother so that on this frame is a little bit less. And just making it a little bit smoother up and down here. I can even try selecting the overall up and down and reduce it overall, just so that it's not that much visible. Can be also because of this, the rotation, Y rotation here. So yeah, we can clearly see the Y rotation here is extreme. So we can smooth it up. Yeah, it's looking way better. Now we have to do some more refinements in the shoulder because there are some stretches happening down here. I'm gonna select the shoulder again. I think I can make those modifications from this one as well, or maybe by adding some keys here. I'll try by adding this up and this movement, maybe. Let's see. See? Yeah, now this arm is looking decent. There are some, pops happening around this frame, which we can fix using by adding some modifications to this arm itself. Let's see how much pops are there. There's still some pops, but I think we can say that those are not big pops. I think it's better if we start working on the other arm for now. Yeah, I think for now we have a decent animation for the hand. Now quickly I'm gonna do the hand animation, and I think I can say that this is a good enough tutorial for now. I'm gonna start with the hand animation. I'll start by selecting all the this root finger controllers, and from there we'll go ahead. So yeah, we made a pose already for the last part, this part. Oh shit, I hope my Maya will not crash. Okay, so we can say like, so Maya crashed right on this when I was about to finish my walk cycle. Please don't crash. Come on. No, I'm gonna pause the recording just to see what's going on with Maya. It would be sad if I lose this animation after such a great progress, I think. Okay, so turns out my file just crashed, but I think we made a decent enough progress on everything. I don't really, I'm not sad that, I lost anything. I do lost this animation, but at least I got it recorded so that, you guys saw the progress. So yeah, this video I made to explain how to make this Gorilla walk cycle to my student Tanisha. So thanks Tanisha for this reference and this request. And hopefully, this video makes sense. Sadly, I wish I had this file saved so that I can, use it for something. But what can we do? So I'm gonna stop the recording. The only thing left was fingers. I think fingers animation should not be hard because the main body and everything was working nicely. Just the fingers were left, and I think it should not be hard. So thank you.